This thing, maybe another one, maybe 2 more of these, should be all that we need for starting seed. Dad, I don't think we're gonna tackle this on our own.
No,
this is what they call a widow maker.
I'm wondering, like you said, I think it's pretty fresh.
Yeah, look at this. It's bad, it's ugly, it's dangerous. This was once a cool office. Hi there, yo folks. One of the things we want to do in this weather, in this season, when the leaves are down, which where we live in East Tennessee is roughly from November to March or so, is to clear a lot of land. There's so much brush and unkempt woodland. We've got several acres of that situation on our property that we want to start clearing, if not all of it, some of it. We obviously want there to be a lot of just kind of wild land on our property, just unkempt forest. I think that's a good thing to have on a homestead. But a lot of it we want to clear out. We're thinking in terms of silvopasture for pigs in the future and sheep, things like that. And so one of the things that Dad and I are going to do today is go down and just check out some of the wood that we have, the woods that we have, and places where it's like clearly needing some clearing. We have somebody that lives fairly close to us that has a skid steer and does some work in clearing woods, and we may avail him of his services, but before we do that, we want to kind of identify the areas that we want to clear out. One of the things that I want to do, I mentioned it in the last video, we have a great piece of equipment here on our property, and that's our tractor, Big Blue. But this hydraulic line split. You can kind of maybe see the splits in the line here recently. So I'm going to, and it was just squirting hydraulic fluid when I moved the front bucket, the front loader, up and down. So what I need to do is get this line replaced. There's no pressure on this, there's no hydraulic pressure on the bucket. It's completely collapsed, it's down on the ground. So there shouldn't be any hydraulic fluid running through it. So there'll be a little bit of leakage, so I'm gonna put down a cardboard box or something, but I'm gonna remove this thing so I can take it in somewhere and get it replaced. It's easy enough getting this thing off, no problems at all. Very little leakage. In fact, looking down at the cardboard box right now, I don't think there's any leakage, which is good. But it also lets me know that no matter what, I'm gonna have to replace some hydraulic fluid once I get the new line in. So removing this thing's easy enough, it's not a problem at all. The challenge for me is gonna be finding a replacement. I know some folks left some really good tips on getting hydraulic line replaced in my video last week. Ideally, I just find a one-to-one replacement and put a brand new one in, but there are ways to beef up the hydraulic line itself, this current hydraulic line, and add some protection on it. But I'm of the mind to just completely replace it out. I have no idea how much these things cost or how hard they are to find. I may need to chat with the folks at New Holland. But ideally, I'll get something changed out here pretty quick so we can start using this tractor in clearing some woods. Speaking of which, let's take a look at what we got down there. One thing I did is cap up the holes where I pulled the line out with aluminum foil. I think I watched a YouTube video that people recommend that when these holes are going to be open for an extended period of time. Just keep them covered. Keep the elements outside of them as much as possible. So I'll have these capped with aluminum foil for the time being. So whenever you talk about clearing land, you often think about burning stuff. Now I know a couple videos ago we talked about the fact that there was a burn ban in East Tennessee. But that burn ban, I think, has since been rescinded because we've gotten a lot of rain. And so one of the things that we're gonna wanna do is set up like a place down in the pasture to burn a lot of the wood because we've already cut so much of it down there. So we started running this line as you can see. We don't have an official water system that goes down to the back pasture. We just use, because the back pasture is like 100 feet lower than where I'm standing right now, there's a hill that goes down there. We just gravity feed it with a bunch of lines of hose, which we used when we had the pigs down there. Dad, you're excited about burning, right?
Well, mainly because it's long overdue. I don't know how many episodes you'd have to go back from when I cleared a bunch of. It was mostly undergrowth, but there was also some smaller trees that I cut down. Stacked it all up in a couple of piles, and the intent was to get after it, to burn it, or to bring it up here and burn it.
Yeah.
And it's one thing got in the way of another.
Yes.
And it just got kicked down the road. So it's still there. Needs to get burned.
So we were actually able to have enough line to go all the way down there. Let's follow it, Dad.
Yeah, it's several hundreds of feet.
I'll probably speed this up, but I think it's worth showing that, you know, we've got this gravity-fed water system, which is just long nylon hoses connected together. As we walk down here, Dad, one of the things I want to do is start thinking about areas where we can start clearing, because we've got so much brush.
Right.
'Tis the season.
Yeah, it is. The problem during
The line.
actually, yeah, 3 seasons basically out of the year. It's very difficult to do because this land just wants to grow things. And
Yes.
it's always just so thick with undergrowth, underbrush. It's very difficult to tell.
I'm not
where
going to
you
walk
can-
through here, but
yeah.
it goes through here, and I'll have that up. Anyways, Dad, sorry.
No, that's fine. Long story short, this is the perfect time of year, like you said, 'tis the season where you can really kind of get a lay of the land, a scope as to what can be cleared out.
So the hose runs through here, and we'll take you to the back pasture. We're walking through the woods right now, which if you've watched this channel, you know we've got, I don't know, Dad, of our 11 acres, I'd say maybe 5 of them are wooded.
Right, yeah, probably a good guess right in that area.
And most of those wooded acres are pretty brushed over. We cleared a bit with the aid of the pigs over here, but as you can see, as you were saying, Dad, it just wants to grow. So that big pile there was the first kind of attempt that Dad made for kind of gathering some of the brush he cleared. As you can see, the hose ends up here.
Yep.
It started all the way up there. As you can see, there's a hill. The elevation drops, so we've got this gravity-fed hose. So we'll have this on hand, and Dad, we're not going to burn right now, but you'll make sure everything's permitted and everything's good to go.
Yeah. So in our county, there's a burn permit that you have to get, which we have, and there's a phone number, kind of an automated message, lets us know which days are or are not permitted to burn. And actually, if we do start burning today, it is a day that's permitted. So,
And this is not our burn pile, correct?
right, yeah, that would be way beyond what they would authorize. So what we'll do is we'll just take kind of piecemeal, bring parts of that out, kind of within the permit guidelines, and burn small amounts at a
So something
time.
like over there.
Yeah, maybe in fact get that started, and that can be where we just sort of drag a little bit at a time.
Okay. So there's a lot of woods, obviously, that we want to clear. And when I say clear, I don't mean knocking down the trees. I'm primarily talking about getting the undergrowth. So you see all these trees right here, but look at that layer down there. If we could clear that, that would open up a lot of possibilities for us. Not only would it look nicer, but we could more easily run things like sheep or future pigs or livestock. It's called silvopasture when we knock out all of that brush. So that being said, there's tons of it. As you look around us, there's a lot behind us, there's this weird stand of maple trees that are young. They almost look like they were intentionally planted. And then over there, you can't see it from where I'm standing, but there's a good, 2 acres of pine, young pine.
Yeah, pretty thick.
Which I think that was intentionally planted. But let's focus on this area right here. I think what we want to do, we've established a beachhead on the homestead itself, obviously, where things are cleared out. We want to crawl back, and I think this area right here is kind of an area that we want to focus on. And one thing that Dad and I noticed the other day, it looks like there was a tree that fell over in the pond area. So those of you that have watched the channel know that there used to be a pond here. I've spoken with the previous owners, and they've shown me pictures of when there was a big, 2-acre pond. There was a boat, there was like a canoe, and they would go fishing in it.
Oh, I mean, it would be so cool if we were able to reclaim that.
If we could get that pond back, and this is kind of all that remains of the pond. But Dad and I separately were walking back here the other day. You want to know something? This big old tree, this was not fallen the last time we were down here. So this is a new fall.
I'm guessing it's, what is it, some kind of pine maybe?
Cedar.
Is that cedar?
It could be cedar. There's a lot of cedar here, but you'll see this whole thing just collapsed, and it's huge. It's a big tree. It still has the needles on the upper branches.
Okay,
you can
yeah.
kind of see them. So it's a fairly fresh fall. It's a little bit concerning. I don't remember hearing this thing fall. What's the joke?
Yeah, did it
the
make a
tree
sound?
falls in the woods and no one's around. I don't remember hearing it, but
We
this
had
must have
some
created a
really-
mighty crash.
Yeah, we had some real heavy winds probably less than 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Remember when we had that hailstorm come in?
Yes, I do.
And there was just straight line winds that
Uh-huh.
had come through. I'm wondering, like you said, I think it's pretty fresh.
Yeah, look at this. So
If it just uprooted this.
it's buried in the ground. So that shows you how heavy this thing is.
Yeah.
It almost looks like it's been here for ages, just for how deep it's buried in here. And yeah, it just ripped it up by the roots, as you can see on the bottom side here. It makes me glad that the pigs weren't back here when this happened. But it's kind of scary because, you know, we do have trees by our houses up there.
Yeah.
And it makes you worry if wind could knock down a tree of this size that's surrounded by other trees, it's in the forest. It makes you kind of concerned about the trees that are up there
Yeah,
next
close
to
to
our
the
house,
house, sure.
our house. But this is new. So, Dad, I don't think we're going to tackle this on our own.
No,
This is what they call a widow maker.
Yeah, this is beyond anything that I think we could handle.
Look how far up it goes. Obviously, we'd like to clear out all of this pond area, and eventually, I think this is a multi-year project. Eventually, we have a pond here again
That'd be so
with
cool.
the boat, and we can go fishing in it and stock it with fish. But right now, it's just way too overgrown. All of this stuff's easy enough to clear away with a skid steer or
knock
just
it
a trusty chainsaw, but this guy right here, this big monstrosity. And Dad, I'm not sure if you saw, but I think there's one on the other side as well. Walk around. This used to be the pig domain right here, and you can see it's just a moonscape. This is something we'll need to figure out how to amend as well. Over here, let's see if I can show you where this other tree was. Right there.
Oh,
You see it?
yeah.
That's new, right? I don't remember seeing that before.
Yeah, I think it might be. This one here, I think, has been.
That one's always been that way, but I'm fairly certain that's new.
That might be another new one, yeah.
There it is. So here we stand in the midst of all this bramble and flotsam and brush. Ideally, Dad and I think we share a vision here. It may not be next month, it may not be next year, it may be several years, but eventually it'd be nice to have this cleared out, all this brush. And like I said, I'm not talking about getting rid of all the trees. I'm talking about just getting rid of this bramble and this brush and this undergrowth right here.
Right, yeah.
So there's the homemaker over here. And in addition to what I showed you back in that direction that we want to clear out, there's also this stuff, which here's the shed where we keep all of our animal processing, our poultry processing equipment in here. It's been a great shed. I'd like to clear the area out around it. One of the things that we've had for quite a while is this. It's an old contractor shed that the previous long-term occupants, I think they used that as an office, and we haven't touched it. But as you can see, nature has just made it worse and worse, and this thing just keeps going down and breaking apart, and it's just industrial waste. It's dangerous. All of this brush, this is bramble. This is going to be some of the stuff I want to clear with the tractor. We'll just take the front loader and just plow through this. And then maybe, like I said, our friend with the skid steer. A lot will involve just getting a dumpster and just loading this industrial waste into that dumpster, because it's bad, it's ugly, it's dangerous. This was once a cool office, contractor office, but like I said, unfortunately, Mother Nature just took over. All this has got to go. I want this whole area to be cleared out. And another great place to put animals over here. I think they may have put pigs over there on the other side. There's an old sty, so I think they used to keep pigs over there. It'd be another great spot to have pigs, because it's within earshot of the homemaker back there. So this is another area that once I get that tractor fixed, I'm just going to level this, and I think it'll look really nice. Not the shed. We'll keep the shed. All right, we're going to test the water line. As you can see, it goes up all the way up to the house. Dad's going to be on the other side with the hose end, and I'm going to turn it on and test it out. Make sure that the thing works before we start any fires. I turned it on. There might be ice in the line. Let's look for kinks. It's coming through. I'm not seeing any kinks. Is it just kind of spitting right now?
There's still a lot of air in the line.
Okay.
Yep, we're looking good.
All right, Dad. So it looks like it might be working. Good.
Lots of pressure.
Nice.
Lots of pressure.
Thanks to gravity.
Yes. Yeah, it's working perfectly.
Perfectly. Okay, awesome. So all the way up there where the hose is, all the way down through these woods and that hill down here, and it's working great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Also, this is kind of serendipitous, but I don't know if you remember in the last video I talked about how we want to start most, if not all, of our plants for this upcoming gardening season from seed. Well, my mom found one of these things on sale, these kind of stand-up little mini greenhouses, and serendipity. I think we're going to use that this year to start a bunch of seed trays and grow this. We might actually get one or two more of these things. Now, a lot of folks will get hot houses or stuff like that. We're not at the point where we need anything like that just yet. Maybe one day we'll have like a little greenhouse, maybe. But in the meantime, this thing, maybe another one, maybe two more of these, should be all that we need for starting seed in the upcoming season. So this is really cool. I'm glad that we got this. We'll see how it works and maybe get a few more. Thanks to all the warm comments and encouragement that people left in the last video. It's a season of change, but it's also a season of sticking around too. We're here at the homestead, and it feels really good to focus on homestead projects again and start thinking long term about this property and the things we want to do for it long term. So we got our work cut out for us this winter. Let's get this tractor running. Hopefully I can find a replacement hydraulic hose here pretty soon. Maybe talk to our friend that does the skid steer work and start clearing some of this stuff out. Maybe do some burning when it's safe to do so and permissible. Get some burning done, get some land cleared, get some of this junk cleared out, and start getting some more animals. Thanks for hanging out with us this Sunday, and until we see you again next time, remember, as always, slowly, slowly.